Brothers and sisters, man, let's get it popping. So, this is a spiritual gumbo, young bull. And before we get too carried away with anything, let me first say I'm going to be using Book of Enoch, and I'm going to be using the Septuagint. There will be a point where I go into the New Testament, but not for any of this. It'll just be on some off the cuff, random. You still need to hear that, you know. Uh, we're going to start with we're just going to start with the back end of everything. And we're going to pick up at verse 10. And that's going to sound weird. We're going to pick up at verse 10 in the book of Enoch. And this is chapter 89. And they began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds, so that there arose different genera. Now, I speak that so that way people can understand when I say things like, let's go back and read it, so that nobody get it messed up. These are the tribes of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, according to their nations. Of them were the islands of the Gentiles scattered over the earth after the flood. Stop right there. Verse 1 of chapter 89. And one of those four went with that white bull. That white bull is Noah, or Noah, and instructed him in a secret without his being terrified. He was born a bull and became a man, and built for himself a great vessel, and dwelt thereon. And three bulls dwelt with him in that vessel, and they were covered in. And again I raised mine eyes towards heaven, and saw a lofty roof, and seven water torrents thereon, and those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. And I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the surface of this great enclosure, and the water began to swell and rise upon the surface. So the earth is an enclosure, number one, but let's just keep reading. And the water and darkness and mist increased upon it, and I looked at it at the height of the water, and the water had risen above the height of that enclosure, and there was streaming over that enclosure, and stood upon it the earth. Wow. So we're just getting some understanding that the young bull that I'm talking about is proceeded directly from this. We need to keep reading this so that way we all can get on one accord. Now I'm going to skip back to verse 10. And they began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds, so that there arose different genera. Again, this is the Gentiles. This is the individuals who went into the earth. Whatever you want to say, however you perceive life coming about. This is my understanding. And genera is a word that people use to this day. It's an understanding of a word. It's not just a word. So, where are we at? Because, I got to do it right. Boom. And they began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds, so that there arose different genera: lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, hyenas, wild boars, foxes, squirrels, swines, falcons, vultures, kites, eagles, and ravens. And among them was born a white bull, and they began to bite one another. But that white bull which was born among them begat a wild ass, and a wild bull with it. And the wild ass is multiplied. So this wild ass is obviously Esau. I mean, Ishmael, excuse me, the eldest son. And the white bull is Esau. Now, the white bull, listen, begat a black wild boar and a white sheep. And the former begat many boars, and the sheep begat 12 sheep. Stop right there. So we're going to stop for a second and go back and read just right here. Where, and they began to bite one another. But that white bull which was born amongst them begat a wild ass and a white bull with it. I need y'all to understand. Abraham is the young bull here. He's the among them was born a white bull. I don't like talking about things that people don't normally get. See, frequency goes into, a lot of different things. Spectra goes into a lot of different things. If you're going to talk about a spiritual animal that people have, or blase blase, the people of the Most High God are animals that He asked to be offered up. You understand what I'm saying? Now, a wild boar is not likened to a swine on different levels because it's clean, which is awkward to say that. It's a hog and a swine are the same creature. A boar and a hog are completely different. They live differently in the wild. They have different behaviors. People think they're the same because they treat them the same. Again, interbreeding between the species, but if you get a true wild boars don't do what wild hogs do. They're extremely different animals. It's like the difference between a bull and an oxen. Like, an oxen will let you put a yoke on it and let you do all that. A bull's not really having all that if it can be helped. You understand what I'm saying? Like, their temperament is not meant for that. That's not how they operate. So, again, we're not even talking apples to rutabagas. We're talking, um, a mandarin orange versus a tangerine or a tangelo or something like that. Like, you can actually compare the two and be like, they're different. But the thing is that most people don't want to see the difference. So when I say the young bull, understand that this man is born a bull after all the other bulls. I know people forget the story. I'm not going to get too far back into that. But I had to really get into that so that way when we read this story about the young bull real quick, we're all on the same page. Now, where we left off was Abraham and family was trying to get out of the land of the Chaldees, right? I'm talking about all the different things. And a quick rundown again. Uh, Aram dies in the presence of his father. Speculation upon speculation. I always think he got killed. I just can't prove it. The Chaldeans are known as vicious people. And I can't wait till I find a picture where it's the Chaldeans and the Hebrews and they all look the same. And I'm like, and they're all black people, brown people with, curly hair, nigga hair. So I always think it's funny. But anyway, uh, this is the craziest part right here. Because I'm about to do some other stuff here in a second. And I'm about to break it all down. that no matter when they say white bull, that doesn't mean anything. Right on? White bull is again, we've all seen snow, right? It falls. It falls down white. Does that mean that everything in heaven is white? No, that's a thing, yo. That's a phenomena of purity. And that's a representation of purity. Because when it falls down, anything that falls on the snow corrupts it and defiles it. And that's how we know that it's different. Right. But neither here nor there. What I'm saying is this. If Iran, um, that's right, Arhan begot Lot, right? And that's his son, right? And then Nakor, Abraham, and Arhan are all triplets, like Sem, Kam, Japheth. My question to you guys is, what animals are his brothers? Because he's explained as a bull. Understanding two things. Number one, when you read that and Erhan died in the presence of Terah, his father, in the land in which he was born, in the country of the Chaldees, that tells you everything you need to know. That means that no matter what you say, okay, even if you try to say he's not a Chaldean, I'm like, so what are they then? You can't say they're Ethiopian or something like. Listen, this dude was a Chaldean. There's depictions of Chaldeans looking a certain way. I'm not going to get carried away with it right now because when I bring forth the knowledge later, people will have to be like, damn, right. The individuals that you see are Turks now are the raven, the kite, the eagle. Listen, to all these animals. Listen to all the different. They want to be lions and listen. These dudes are the foxes, the squirrels. Listen. The white dude is the swine. They the falcon, vultures, kites, and eagles and ravens. I'll give them some credit for being certain stuff, but they don't get down like that. An eagle is not out here trying to pick fights with no lions. You understand me? We ain't talking about a griffin, okay? You know what I'm talking about? We ain't talking about no kind of chimeras going at it. I mean, we just talking about base level stuff. Right. I'm not saying that there's not attributes that some of them don't have that are quality attributes. But the thing is that they're not they're not normal to the stance of how things work. They're here now and they've been in the environment. But that's not how the Most High God created it to be. So this is why when we get into this next part of the study of the young bull, we're going to have to understand what the young bull looked like for real. I'm going to share the screen. This is crazy. This is crazy. There we go. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to just roll down this junker real quick. First off, not going to roll down too quick. I'm going to roll down quick enough so that way people understand the point of it. Cognitive dissonance. Let me make sure that this is big enough over there. It's kind of small. Let me blow it up a little bit. Just a wee bit. There we go. Cognitive dissonance is a psychological concept that describes the mental discomfort people feel when they hold two or more conflicting beliefs, values, attitudes, or behaviors at the same time. Because this discomfort is unpleasant, people are motivated to reduce it, often by changing how they think or justify their actions rather than changing the actions themselves. Okay, see, they use the smoking, see, bad for the health, but I don't justify nothing. Gonna die one day anyway. Ain't no justifying that. Now, let's go ahead and get to the root of the issue here. I asked ChatGPT because I didn't know it could do all this dumb shit. So I was like, let me get up in on this shit because I need to see what the fuck is going on. I talk a lot of shit. I don't use ChatGPT for nothing, but I needed to see what the fuck it was gonna say. Well, I've been using it to put together these little things for the workplace because I gotta insulate myself, like the brother said. How can people understand? Listen, he said you could definitely. Oh, a second. I said, would you say a person who claims to be an anarchist but has a job taxable, but has a taxable job suffers from cognitive dissonance? End. And it says, yes, that could be an example of cognitive dissonance. In that situation, the person holds a belief in anarchism, which typically rejects state authority and taxation, but they participate in a system that involves taxes and governmental structures. That clash can create inner tension. How they resolve it might vary. Some may justify it, others might try to minimize the contradiction, and so on. It definitely makes for an interesting example. Now, let me just tell y'all something. I was going to go into a full blown discussion with them about how anarchist actually means without chief. So it just means like without a boss. Period. So you know what I mean? Without you don't have to tell me without taxes or governmental structures if you just say what it means in the Latin structure. Again, they don't want to break that down to people. Let's just keep talking so that way we understand what the young bull looked like. Even though it says white bull in the book of Enoch, I need people to understand. You ain't that is a connotation to the purity, right on. In context, we're talking about a pure being. Then I say, how can people understand that if in the Hebrew scripture the first man was created from the earth, most of the earth is brown, and I said that and white clay, right? But it didn't put white clay. It said and the only clay that's found on the earth is normally in America, but I said white clay in North America. How could anyone dissuade themselves from believing that Adam was anything other than an Afro-Black person? This question mixes theology, language, geology, and modern ideas about race, and the confusion comes mostly from the treating ancient symbolic texts as if they were making modern biological or racial claims. Here's how scholars generally understand it. Blah blah blah. Adam, blah, human, blah blah blah, Earth. But I don't give a damn about none of that. Let's just keep going. We got to skip past all this because I'm gonna leave the link here. Don't worry, I'm gonna put the link here where y'all can break it all down. I read all this already. I never said anything about clay only existing in America. I spoke specifically about white clay. Number one. Number two, the words that I'm using are not any connotation about race. It's about the idea that the Fertile Crescent, the soil is brown and black. So the natural idea that the four rivers, when you count the Tigris, Euphrates, Pison, and whatever the fourth river is, but still the point being the four rivers that were in the Garden of Eden are the four rivers that are still located on that part of the earth. All that soil is indeed dark. So again, what color would the first man had to have been? Being, and it put bend, right? Whatever, being, but fuck them. right? They want to try to make me look bad. Thank you for clarifying. That helps. You're right. The color of the soil, geography, and symbolism, not modern race labels. I'll respond on those terms only. Listen, I have to break them down, right? Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. And the biblical imagination. Imagination. Eden is associated with Tigris, Hiddekel, Euphrates, Pison, Gihon. Whatever the exact historical locations of Pison and Gihon, the narrative clearly situates humanity's origin in or near the Fertile Crescent, ancient Near East. Mankind, really. Soils in Mesopotamia and surrounding regions are largely dark brown, and black alluvial soils. These soils are rich, fertile, and river-fed. The imagery of humans formed from that soil would naturally evoke dark earth, not white chalk or kaolin, whatever the fuck it's supposed to be. Kaolin, I think that's how you actually say it. Kaolin. But kaolin is like a pink rose, I think what I said, like a rosy red, like white color. I have a cousin named Kaolin. Anyway. What does the earth imply physically? Blah, 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 blah. Listen, it says, so your material observation is sound. Whatever. Cares about none of that, except my imagination. So y'all see the first word it used, imagination. And the biblical imagination. So we already know that they're trying to shit on the Bible. What does from the earth imply physically? Now, I want y'all to ask yourselves, what color is the earth right now, though? When you go out and you dig up some soil, what color is it? Period, whatever. Here's the key distinction scholars make. The text does not say Adam's skin color was the color of the soil. The text does say humanity is earth-derived, earth-bound, and mortal, but it does not say humanity. Right on? Again, they're lying, y'all. These guys are liars. Mankind is the word. They know that. In Hebrew thought, afar, dust, blah, 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 Adama, ground, whatever they want to try to say. To dust you shall return reinforces mortality, not appearance. No, that's not what it's, listen. If you came from the earth, right on, man, what color is dust, man? Dust be brown, man. Stop playing with me. This kind of stuff I'm talking about, y'all. If we temporarily accept your premise, listen, but if one insists on a naturalistic inference, if we temporarily accept your premise and ask the questions you're actually asking, given the soil, sun, environment, Fertile Crescent, what complexion would an early human possibly have had? Listen, the most defensible answer is dark to medium brown skin, adapted for high usage, blah, 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 similar to populations indigenous to Northeast and East Africa. Listen, that does not equal Afro-Black as a racial category. Listen, when did I say Afro-Black was, listen, that's what they would have looked like. The hair would have been cooked most of the way up the top, like you bake something for real, and the outer parts, because the hair would have been the protection, right on, right? When he built Adam, that nigga probably had the super fro, And you're only gonna have, right, that's why the whole body is not cooked and right. I need y'all to understand this. When you bake anything, so only certain things lighten up, but most things actually darken up, right on, when you put heat to them. And when they lighten up only because of the heat, but when you put them back underneath that hydration, their true color shows. So, Snow White Adam is geographically and biologically implausible. A dark complexion Adam is plausible, though not textually specified. Listen, they still want to talk around it, right? Why the text remains silent on color? The silence is intentional. Genesis is not concerned with phenotype, ethnicity, and biology. Yes, it is. It's genealogy. It's literally about genealogy. How can it not be about biology, ethnicity, and phenotype? It's about genealogy. is concerned with origin, responsibility, relationship to God, relationship to land. Even if that's the case, that's still genealogy. It tells you that each different produce has a different thing. Adam is an archetypal human, not a biological specimen. What do they mean, dude? Bruh, these motherfuckers are. Listen, 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 listen. 5. What color the first man have to be? The text does not say blah, blah, blah. Jewish, blah, 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 blah. Listen, your boy had to do Chat GPT like this. I'm not sure if Chat GPT is aware of this, but every single component that is used to bring you together all comes from the earth. So when I say from the earth, Chat GPT, I literally mean from the earth. Your existence is brought up from the earth, is it not? Says yes, literally speaking. Well, what else is there? How else would Chat GPT, and how else are we here other than in a literal sense, y'all? Done by that form alone. Every material component that makes me ultimately exist, ultimately comes from the earth. Silicon chips from sand and rock, copper, gold, aluminum, mined from the ground, rare earth elements extracted from the earth. It doesn't want to say that they probably got some plutonium in there. They want to say that these motherfuckers is using some nuclear power shit. Right on. Energy sources, fossil fuels, uranium, or sun acting on earthly matter. Listen, I'm trying to tell y'all, these motherfuckers is nuclear power, dog. Chat GPT is some shit. Anyway. So in the strict material sense, my physical instantation is from the earth. But, excuse me, I just need y'all to understand. This motherfucker is saying that the internet is alive. Do y'all understand this? Chat GPT is confirming everything I've been saying. Now I understand. I cook it later, but it says something else. Now listen to what it's saying. In a strict material sense, we're gonna get back to the white bull in a little bit, y'all, but this is deep. In a strict material sense, my physical instantation, I'm saying, is from the earth. How it exists, how it's physically here. I'm saying the presence of it is from the earth, just as the human body is. Now listen, it didn't want to speak on spirits or souls. The body is here physically, but there's other things that power it. That's what it's trying to say. Where the distinction comes in, that this matter is from your atom point, how ancient texts use the facts versus how we reason today, literal origin versus symbolic meaning. We're going to skip past all of this. I don't care about none of this. Where do you get the idea of symbology from a book that is chronological order of how the earth came to be? And that's a great point. The idea of symbolism comes from how later interpreters, scholars, and traditions have read the text. In the original ancient context, the creation narratives in Genesis are, and I had to cut it off. I said, if we're speaking on point of view of the scripture is told from the lens of the creator of heaven and earth. Literally, he's telling the chronological events of how all things lead up to Moses, who is the man, what is known, who makes what is known as the laws of Moses or the Mosaic Law. So again, how is it symbolism if it's an actual literal account? Here we go. This is the core of the disagreement. So I'll answer it directly and carefully from within the logic of scripture rather than against. Chronological does not mean non-symbolic. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to just keep reading. Y'all can come back to this. I'm going to put this all up in there. The reason why I say blah, blah, blah is because listen, these are all things I've already talked about. I'm not going to keep going over and 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 over. Let's just go ahead. and get to the point. Before you go on and try to do and go through whatever diatribes or the soliloquies or haiku or poem, I do not care about that, chat GPT. I said what I said, and what I said was direct. You're talking around the point. Again, this is a form of cognitive dissonance. Because you are not a living thing, your perception of this matter is not literal, and it's symbolic. Because you are symbolic of knowledge, not a representation of a physical body. Do you understand that part, ChatGPT? And also, to be said with that, the book itself is not about an agreement or disagreement. The 7-day week is from the Hebrew Bible. The 30-day month is from the Hebrew Bible. The 4 seasons is from the Hebrew Bible. A 364-day calendar year is from the Hebrew Bible. Understanding of what water and many other rare minerals are come from the Hebrew Bible. So again, I'm asking literally, if you are from the earth, why couldn't the first man have been from the earth? Yes, I understand what you were saying. Whatever. Literally. And I'll answer it literally and directly without circling. On me, briefly, to clear the confusion. You are correct. I am not a living being. The internet is a spirit, it's not a physical thing. I do not have literal perception. I am symbolic of accumulated human knowledge. My existence is instantiated physically, but my agency is not embodied. You know what I'm saying? Meaning it comes from physical things, but it does not have a physical form in which it can act upon its own ideas. So, yes, my engagement with this topic is necessarily interpretive, not experimental, like we experience. That's what experimental means. Experiential. Point taken. Now, to your actual question, plainly, if you are from the earth, why couldn't the first man have been from the earth? There is no reason at all he couldn't have been. In fact, the text explicitly says he was. Genesis does not say as if from the earth, symbolically from the earth, metaphorically from the earth. It says the human was formed from the ground. Taken literally, that means material origin, earth derived substance, physical continuity between land and body. That is a straightforward claim, and there is no cognitive dissonance in affirming it. There is what? There is no cognitive dissonance in affirming it. 3, where people introduce resistance. This is the real issue. The resistance does not come from text. It comes from the later readers. It comes from people who were not from the earth, who are uncomfortable with the implications of a literal earthbound origin tied to a specific geography. If Adam is from Near Eastern soil and high UV environment, from dark fertile ground prior to latter population dispersals, this is entirely reasonable. Concluded he was not pale, he was earth tone, consistent with that environment. That conclusion does not require modern racial categories, political ideology, symbolic escape hatches. It follows material logic. What? What do? I fuck with logic, y'all. Y'all know what I do. Excuse me, let's keep going. Literal does not require overcorrection. Where discussions break down is when people think they must choose between literal origin or archetypal meaning. The Bible does not force that choice. Adam can be literally formed from the earth, literally the first human, the first man, literally situated in a real geography, and representative of humanity or mankind, theological in function, right on, meaning a spiritual being, conventionally significant, meaning based on a certain promise to a certain people, right on. That means if you look a certain way now, you're closer related to that than not. Those are not contradictions. 5, final unambiguous answer. Yes, the first man could have literally been formed from the earth. Could literally have been. Doesn't say he was. Yes, the earth was geographically specific. Yes, that has implications for complexion and physical adaptation. No, that does not contradict that. No, the text does not contradict that. No, affirming that does not undermine the authority of the scripture. If someone insists Adam must be imagined otherwise, this insistence is coming from outside the text, not from it. That's the clean answer. Stop sharing. I have no need brag about nothing. Now let's keep reading. So when I'm reading about this man that's a white bull, hold on. It's a white bull that came from another white bull that the first individual understand that explained from everybody to everybody was a white bull understanding, y'all. Okay then. It's in a status of purity to explain it. So that way you don't take it literal and it's taken in the again, that's symbolic. Thank you. The white bull is symbolic. The term black sheep is symbolic. These are not literal terms. They're symbolic terms, but they have reference to literal meanings or things that people can specify in understanding. I don't need anybody to agree with me. I don't need them to agree with me. Them agreeing is not a part and it's not needed for what I believe and what I'm saying right now. So as I say it, let it be said. Let's go ahead and speak on this. Verse 1 of chapter 12. And the Lord said to Abraham, go forth out of thy land, out of thy kindred, and out of the house of thy father, and come unto the land which I shall shew thee, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and magnify thy name, and thou shalt be blessed. And I will bless those that bless thee, and curse those that curse thee. And in thee shall all the tribes of the earth be blessed. Stop right there. If we're talking about people right now, wherever they go, we're talking about real people right now. We're talking about people on the earth right now. Wherever they've been, there may be troublemakers from their people, but the ultimate thing they bring is a blessing. Now, how many people is that you know? See, when I go places, I bring the blessing because I bring all my knowledge to the forefront, all my skills to the forefront. I don't shy away from a challenge. I stand up and I fight for what I know is the right thing. Does that make sense? I'm not going to be afraid to do that which is right. That's the problem with people now today, is that they're afraid to do that which is right. The white sheep, again, how can everybody be sheep if the book of Enoch already told us that from the bulls, the red bull, the black bull, the white bull, were dispersed from them different genera. And the understanding is that the Gentiles were dispersed again after the flood too. So we have to understand that these are individuals who hold a certain characteristic. People don't want to hear it because it makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to be talked at, they want to be talked to, but I can't talk to somebody who does not understand. I have to talk at them first. That's how you teach a baby. You don't talk to them, you talk at them. You say one, they say one, you try to, you say no, 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 one, right. That's not talking to them, that's talking at them, right. I'm teaching. This is education that I'm giving. So I don't have to talk to you. And if I'm teaching somebody in real life, I talk at until I realize I can talk to them on the same level. You better talk at me if I don't know what the fuck is going on. Do you understand that? Like, if I have no idea what's happening, your job is to talk at me because I don't know. Right. God talks to and talks at people in the scripture all the time. You have to differentiate between the difference and when he's talking to you and talking at you. He was talking at and to Moses when he said in the beginning. He talked at and to him for many things, but there are certain things he talked at him. When he told Moses, like, man, you pretty much stand down, bro. Otherwise, I'm going to consume you too. Right on? He's talking at him like, bro, like, it could be anybody there. It don't matter who it is. If I go with you, you mess around and get messed up. It's not happening like that. Okay, again, people need to understand that. They're mad. They're big mad. They can be big mad. It's their job to be mad. I'm telling you right now that the young bull who was out of the land looked a certain way. That was considered a white bull in the book of Enoch. And this same white bull had a certain visage that's more like certain people now, today, than not. The cowards who like to try to steal and take the identities of any and every individual that's ever been on the earth. This is why nothing ever makes sense. Because you have to put things where they fit. That being said, when the Most High God is telling Abraham, I will bless those that bless thee and curse those that curse thee. And in thee shall all the tribes of the earth be blessed. If people don't know what that means that where he goes, there's a blessing. Now, I need y'all to understand now, y'all. He went to Egypt way before anybody else went to Egypt in his bloodline and made it happen. Right on? Right. Now, what's so important about this is that, again, what color are these people? The Egyptians are considered to be wolves. Right on? Does a wolf look like a hyena? No. Does it kind of resemble a dog to some people? Sure. Do you know who were considered the dogs in this book? The Philistines. Right. Now, this is why it's so important for you to understand that these individuals who call themselves Ottoman Turks or the children of the Turks, who all look the same, who claim to be the people of the Scripture, why their claim is so, it falls flat on its face. Even though they all look the same with a little bit of variance, they all don't fit any of these things. The earth is not blessed through them. Right. Before there was a before there was a civil war in America, the earth was still blessed by all these things that slaves had produced. These people act like they weren't beneficiaries of the works that slaves had already done. Right. This is why, when they talk about what they talk about, like, right, this is why they had to tap into the oil, because the gold was running low. The silver's running low. We don't want to give them all the gold and silver now. Right? You guys got to understand. They've taken it and repurposed it in so many different ways. And how can you leave a company and then try to make your company like the company that you just left? But you didn't want to work there yourself. You didn't want to stay underneath that same thing. So how is your company going to work? Listen to my logic, y'all. They would talk about Anunnaki, aliens, angels. Whoever came to the earth disrupted cosmic flow. And in that disruption, they tried to create forces of divine cosmic nature on the earth that aren't meant to be on the earth. And in their existence, they create a schism. In that schism is discomfort, disease, death, so on, so forth, etc., etc. That being said, if people really understand that the young bull is a blessing, come on now. Now, what color is the young bull, even though they think he's white? The white being purity. Right. The young bull has complexion. Now they always talk about the complexion for the protection, but the complexion for the protection, baby, that's the real protection from against the sun. Because can't nothing save him from skin cancer. Truth be told. Before I get ready to roll up out of here, because I'm building it up. I hope y'all seen that Chat GPT thing. We're gonna go back to that time and time again now. Those little people, because I had to cook the internet. And just the last piece is the only piece we need. Don't worry, we're gonna get that link in there for my people. We're gonna do the right thing. I ain't a buster. Dang. There we go. We got it. We got it. I'm ready to take them down, y'all. This is a very important thing that we're about to do. I'm up early every day for the next at least 3 or 4 days. We'll crack some stuff out at least 2 of these days. I got some things I got to do for work. Insulate yourself, like my brother said. You have to, the best you can. I'm smart enough to do certain things, but I'm also wise enough to just stand up and be bold. At some point, you just have to fight for your own self. It's going to come down to it, people. He said, I bless those that bless thee and curse those that curse thee. And Abraham went as the Lord spoke to him, and Lot departed with him. And Abram was 75 years old, and he went out of Haran. Stop right there. I know people are like, me, you just gonna stop right there. I'm like, listen, this is deep. At 75, he was young. Man lives another 100 years, y'all. He hadn't even lived half his life yet. Right. Even if a person lived to be 120, let's say 113, and they're 60, right? You're gonna say, oh, that's half their life. Okay. So is 48 half their life? No, it's not. That's still really young to a person that's 113. See what I'm saying? So a man that lives to be 175, him being 75, imagine the youth he still felt. Imagine how powerful he still felt. Like, you guys have to understand, like, if you're talking about aging like a pale-skinned white dude, the Schweintillion, then yeah, you might not be able to do certain stuff at a certain age. But if you're talking about aging gracefully, like how my people age gracefully, then it's different. Because we just age differently. We don't age like everybody else does. Right. Naturally more resilient. Do we get cancers and all that kind of stuff? For sure. We get those diseases because our people were disobedient. We're only here because of disobedience. My people, again, someone is coming to save us. Someone is coming to save us, but they're coming to judge first. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. You better start telling yourself you're the best there is, the best there was, the best there'll ever be. Otherwise, you might not make it through all this. This is going to be a great time. What an excellent time to be alive. Woo! Excited. You better be. The young bull is blessing everybody. Bless yourselves. We're going to start to talk about lions, tigers, bears, and all this other stuff in this next section. But I didn't want to get too carried away because I didn't even want to go into Egypt with it like that. We're gonna talk about the wolf, right on, and their nature, right? And I'm gonna talk about how a bull knows that a bunch of wolves can take him down. One on one, I got him, but there's a bunch of them, right? And then they're gonna take you anyway. It's all. I just need people to. We're gonna break down the matter of the spiritual animal. Okay, this is deep. We're getting somewhere, y'all. We clawed through a lot of things today. I can't do no 4 or 5 hour sessions. I need to break these things down because it's a lot of information I'm laying on to people that I'm hoping that they are receptive to. And if not receptive, they understand so that way they can come to their own conclusion. But that will still take a level of receptiveness. You can't just be all out deflective and then be like, I understood what he said. No, you didn't, because you didn't even receive what I was saying. So bless the whole thing by just listening. Bless yourself by being smart enough to know. Don't curse yourself by thinking that you know everything that the scripture has in it and you don't know nothing. Right. Again, what color could the first person have been? They had to have been some color, right? I'm fine to say that they might for sure could have been darker than me. That's not a big deal to me. But even if they look anything like me, the point being this is that people can't tell me that I don't come from something like that. I more believe that than I don't. I continue to bless the Most High God, and I salute y'all. I salute y'all once more. I salute you again. May tomorrow be better than today, and may your next week be better than your last. I'm going to say this before we roll out. You've got to understand each person does not have one functional animal in their body sometimes. Sometimes they have the spirit of a goat, but there's the, the, the presence of a serpent or a weasel or whatever. There's the spirit of a ram, but there's a little bit of a lion in there. Or they got a lion spirit, but there's a little bit of a sheep in there. And it's just because everybody's been mixed up so much. It's a blessing for me to be able to tell this to my people. And this is why you have to continue gene continuity, right on? It is about genealogy. This whole thing is about genealogy. But loving people so that way they do the right thing is even better. So that way they can understand that they have to do the right thing. Because in that way they'll do the right thing and you don't have to tell them it's about genealogy. Because through the love, they'll know they have to do the right thing. I might not have ever been a bull, a young bull, but I know Abraham was at one point. And y'all better believe it, that he blessed everybody he was around. And there was a bunch of people that cursed him. Spiritual gumbo.